Hello and welcome again to Survival Sweden. I've been asked by a lot of people what's the best way to degrease an engine. Well, actually there are lots of different ways to do it depending on your budget, where you are in the world and so on. Now, one good friend of mine from Afghanistan, he says he's an injection specialist and has to clean engines down very, very thoroughly before working on diesel injection equipment. And he says that diesel is absolutely the best thing that they found, having tried all the things that were available at the time locally. And of course, in Afghanistan, not everything is available in terms of proprietary products and various chemicals. But it's a very cheap, simple, easy, effective method to use. It's available everywhere. The disadvantage with that, of course, is that once the diesel runs off the engine, it brings the muck with it. It slops onto the floor. It makes a real mess. But there are basic chemicals available to most people very cheaply, which do a very good job. And one of those is this. It's just common drain cleaner that you put down your plug hole when the sink is blocked. And it's a chemical which is potassium hydroxide or sodium hydroxide, depending what's there. It's a white powder. It's a very strong alkaline. It's a little bit dangerous to handle. Ideally, you'd want to wear a breathing mask so that you don't get any of the powder in your lungs when you use it. If you do use it, then it in theory should work at any temperature once you've mixed it with water. In reality, it works much better if you mix it with very hot water. The hotter the better. So you want to put it on really with pretty much boiling water once you've mixed it carefully so you don't get it in your eyes and all the rest, following all the great ideas of safety these days. But it's so cheap, you know, and it works very well. And what's interesting is it works in the same way as soap. If you make a soap at home, what you do is you take lye, which is the ashes from a fire, which are rather alkaline, and you combine them with a fatty acid to make a detergent. Well, this is basically the same. You're using a strong alkaline, mixing it with the fat that's on the engine and the oil, and it itself, in theory, becomes a detergent. One end of the molecule attaches itself to the grease, the muck, and the other end of the molecule attaches itself to the water. And as you rinse it off with a jet wash or a hose, in theory, it should pull off the grease that's around it. And the only catch with that is, well, actually not a catch, you can improve it. The way to improve it is to take some diesel, mix in some of the drain cleaner, which has been dissolved in water already as a liquid, mix in a little bit of petrol, makes it a bit more effective. Mix in a little bit of washing powder, ordinary clothes washing powder. That's a very good degreaser on its own, actually, in hot water. But with this mixture, it works very well. And the hottest water you can possibly use. And instead of leaving a sort of greasy sheen, as pure diesel would do on the engine, using that mixture will leave a fairly clean surface, sometimes one you can paint straight onto. Either way, using those methods, you would probably want to wash down the surface to get rid of all oily films. In other words, just that tiny 1 molecule or 2 molecule thick layer that clings on like a diesel that's been brushed onto an engine. And an easy way to do that is to wash it down with caustic soda and water, or washing powder in hot water, and just hose it off, and that works quite well. But getting to the stuff that really works, which I find absolutely fantastic, is this stuff, Mr. Muscle. Well, actually, you know, it can be any of the makes available. It's just an oven cleaner. It's a sort of white spray. Let's have a look. I'll try to show you here. Spray it on like this, and it forms a white foam. And that white foam, you can leave it a few seconds to a few minutes, depending, and you can just literally wipe it off, and it brings off the grease. And what it does, look at that, straight off, absolutely fantastic. And what it leaves behind is not an oily sort of film, but an absolute clean surface that you can paint straight onto, and I often do. You know, that is a fantastic advantage. No sandpapering available, because it's just so clean and ready to bond with a paint. You can, of course, go the step further, and you can rinse it off with washing powder and hot water if you think that there's anything left. But the advantage of this is it's so instant and it's so cheap. You can buy it from any household shop. It's about £2 a can like this. Which means you can wash down an entire engine in a big engine like this on a tractor for £6. It's nothing. And the other advantage is it doesn't all fall on the floor. Put a bit of paper or cardboard under your engine, you're not getting loads of stuff falling down. It actually forms, when it meets a lump of fat or oil or grease on the engine, it turns it into a sort of goo, a sort of paste, and you, instead of falling off, that paste is just there ready for you to scrape off with a scraper or just wipe away with a cloth. So you're actually not polluting the ground at all, in effect. Nothing's falling down, and that is absolutely the best method in my opinion. The other proprietary product which is available, which is really quite good, is called Gunk, G-U-N-K, in various countries. It's a thin liquid that you paint on with a paintbrush, stipple it about, leave it for a bit, wash it off with water, and it comes off as a sort of very milky, it turns into a milky white liquid as it runs off. Again, it's falling onto the ground, so unless you've got a way of collecting it, you've got liquids everywhere. And it's not expensive, but it's not terribly cheap. But absolutely the winner from trying every possible method is your oven cleaner. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that helps. All the best.